Hello everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 37. Before we begin this week's podcast, I just want to say that I know earlier this week, there was Canada Day, if you're from Canada, I believe. There was, the 4th of July, if you're from the United States, and I don't know, there might be some other holidays that I'm not remembering, but I just want to say that, whether you're from Canada, the United States, some other country where there might have had some sort of other holiday sort of thing going on, hopefully you had a great week. Hopefully you enjoyed your little, holiday or day off, whatever it might have been. And yeah, not only that, but you might realize that this podcast is going up a little later than usual. The reason for that, I went out to watch a movie, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And yeah, I just thought that I would probably, it would make more sense for me to record the podcast after watching the movie so I could talk about it, instead of just saving it for next week. So in case you're wondering why the podcast is a little late, that's the reason, So with that being said, not that I'm going to try to rush through the podcast, but I do want to, get this out there. So without further ado, let's just get started with my week. As I first brought up last week, right now we're in a transitionary period of some anime ending and others starting because we're right at the beginning of the summer 2019 anime season. So yeah, the first three things I'm going to talk about, two of them are anime that ended, for this season, and one of them is an anime that just started. All right. So first on the list is We Never Learn, also called Bokuben, I think. It's the Japanese title shortened down or whatever. But yeah, We Never Learn, aka Bokuben. If anyone remembers, that's the anime that I said that I thought was going to be very generic. Coming off of the quintessential quintuplets last season, basically this anime feels like it was going to be maybe a ripoff of it. It stars this protagonist that he's in high school and they tell him, you can get basically a full ride scholarship to the university of your choosing. But before that, not only do you have to keep your grades up, but we're going to ask you to tutor some of your fellow classmates. And so, they introduced this blue-haired girl that she is really good at literature and English class, that sort of thing. But her passion, she wants to study the stars and space. But she's terrible at it because she's only good at English and literature, that sort of thing. We're also introduced to a girl with red hair that she's excellent at math, science, physics, all that sort of stuff. But she wants to be if I remember correctly, she wants to be a psychologist. She wants to study people, that sort of thing. And, once again, there's that disconnect where what she likes isn't what she's good at. And, so we're introduced to these two characters and, our protagonist is trying to tutor them and help them. A few episodes in, we're introduced to a childhood friend of his that she is an excellent swimmer. She's great at sports and she keeps winning competitions and stuff. And she might get a scholarship based on that, I think. The only thing is that her grades are terrible because she sucks at every subject. And so yeah, sure enough, he's tasked with tutoring her too. And so like I said, the first few episodes, they seem very generic. And it almost felt like it was trying to copy the quintessential quintuplets in the sense of okay, you have a protagonist, he has to tutor these girls, each of them has a different personality and a different thing going on. And it started pretty I don't know, it seemed kind of boring, it seemed generic, right? I'll admit though, as the season progressed, I think it really turned itself around and I ended up really liking the series because yes, there is a number of girls in the protagonist's life and they do kind of hint, I guess, at maybe each of them kind of liking him. But unlike other series, there's a clear winner, if that makes sense. In this case, the childhood best friend, she has a very obvious crush on him, and he has a very obvious crush on her, and the show really pushes it. So unlike other series, where the guy doesn't know his feelings or whatever, or all the girls like him or whatever, and it's kind of who will come out on top? It's very obvious that the childhood best friend is the choice. Like I said, she likes him, he likes her. The blue-haired girl, she only kind of like admires the main protagonist, you know, but for like the most part, she acts like as like a wing woman, which is like really interesting because you never really see that, you know, like most of the time she's just a wing woman. She's like giving him advice, that sort of thing. The girl with the red hair, she has like a crush on him, but you know, they don't really like focus on that too much. So I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting that the dynamic was different from usual. Like I said, you know, there was like basically like this main romance. One of the other characters is like a wingman slash wing woman. And the other one kind of has a crush, but you know, they don't delve into it too much. And besides that, you know, I thought it was fun because instead of focusing on the drama of relationships, that sort of thing, they do have a little bit of that. But mostly, you know, there's just a lot of humor from the different situations that the protagonist ends up in, you know, as he's tutoring these girls. Like, there's a whole episode where he helps out at his mom's job. And they put him like in a mascot outfit, right? And his mom happens to work at a lingerie store. And so I'm not going to spoil it, but there's like a whole bunch of just comedy from him having to fill in for his mom. And he's wearing this costume. And all these people that he knows are entering the lingerie store. And because he has the costume on, you know, they don't know it's him. And like, it's just a really funny episode. But yeah, overall, I was actually really surprised with this show. I thought that it was way better than I expected. And like I said, I appreciate that the dynamics are a bit different, you know, like it's not the usual harem thing, you know, like there is like a clear central relationship basically. So overall, I recommend it. I thought it was funny. There was heart to it, you know, when he's helping all these different girls. I thought the dynamic was interesting, that sort of thing. So I recommend it. I think it's a pretty good show. If anything that I have said interests you, I can say check it out. And once again, that show was We Never Learn, also called like Bokuben or something like that. So check it out. Alrighty, on the flip side of that, while We Never Learn was a show that I had low expectations for, but ended up walking away like with pretty like high expectations, you know, like I was really, you know, it surprised me. This next show is a show that I was hoping would be good, but I ultimately came out a bit disappointed. And I am, of course, talking about One Punch Man Season 2. Now, for anyone who remembers, I did talk about One Punch Man Season 2, you know, at the beginning of the season, and I explained that, you know, it was being handled by a different studio, and that people could tell that, like, the animation was going to be more rough from just the preview, that sort of thing. And yeah, unfortunately, like, I don't know how to explain it, like, don't get me wrong, I guess is the best way to explain it. Don't get me wrong, there is stuff that the show does right. Like all of the comedy stuff and interactions between Saitama and one of the heroes called King, like that stuff was great. And that stuff was like really funny. You know, like when they're sitting around playing video games and we kind of find out that King is actually like a huge coward and stuff. That stuff was great, and that stuff was really funny. Likewise, there's this villain that they introduced this season. His name is Garo, and he's basically a dude that has been training up because he says he wants to be like the ultimate monster, like despite being like a human. And he was really interesting as a villain. And his motivations were kind of, you know, interesting. And watching him fight and like work his way through heroes and trying to be that monster that he wants to be, that was really interesting. You know, I actually really liked him as a character. Likewise, I think that any fight involving Genos, usually those were like the best ones, you know? I feel like that's where like they were like the most creative, and usually from what I could tell, it seems like those are the ones where they use like the most budget, you know? Because he's like flying around and using lasers and using explosions, that sort of thing. For me, any fight involving Genos, I pretty much thought those were like really good. Unfortunately though, that's kind of where my praise stops. And I thought that the rest of the season was just very, like, I don't know, it was just very low quality, and the story, like the plot, I just felt like it was all over the place, you know? Like basically we start this season, we're told, okay, you know, monsters are attacking once again. We learn that there's like this like monster in charge, and he has the ability to make like humans into monsters, you know? Basically, if like a human eats like some monster flesh, they can become monsters. And so like that's a whole conflict right there with like, you know, new monsters being created. But at the same time, Garo's running around defeating Hero, so that's happening. And at the same time, there's like this thing with like the Hero Association. It's under attack. And then at the same time, Saitama, for whatever reason, he goes to a martial arts tournament, but the martial arts tournament doesn't really add anything. So like, I don't know. I just feel like there was a lot of plots happening all at once. A lot of them felt like they didn't really go anywhere. Like that martial arts tournament, like in particular, I think Saitama, I want to say he's at the martial arts tournament for like 5 episodes. And at the end of the day, I don't even know what the point is. Like it was literally, oh, he wants to see if martial arts is something that interests him. So he goes to the tournament. And we waste like 5 different episodes at that tournament. And at the end of the day, though, it's just kind of like he just goes like, oh, I guess martial arts isn't really for me. But they just focus so much on the tournament itself. It just feels like a waste of time. And I mean, that's the story. When it comes to stuff like animation and sound design, all that sort of thing, really low tier, really low budget. I talked about it near the beginning of the season, but I think the fights are just really messy. And I don't know, there's just a lot of examples of like I don't know, like any trick in the book that they could use to cut back on like budget and animation, like they used it, whether it's like lip flaps not being used, instead of using the inner monologues, that's the thing. They'll have like bright flashes of light so that you can't really tell what's happening. They'll have that thing where they cut to like different camera angles. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I could go on forever, but the point is, to make it brief, One Punch Man Season 2, I was hoping for the best, and like I said, don't get me wrong, there is some good stuff, but overall, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say, save your time, because I don't think it's worth it, The story's all over the place. I feel like they kind of have trouble focusing on stuff. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that kind of feels like filler, doesn't really add anything to the story. Animation was really bad. Fight scenes were very lazy compared to first season. The sound design was even really bad, just really low tier. So I was disappointed. I didn't really enjoy my experience with, One Punch Man Season 2. And likewise, if you're thinking about watching or whatever, I don't know. I mean, either be very cautious walking into it and keep your expectations very low, or I would say just skip it altogether, because I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a waste of time. So there you go. Moving on to the final anime for this week. I actually talked about this anime quite a while ago. I, had noticed the story about it coming out. I thought the premise was really interesting, so I discussed it. I am, of course, talking about a little anime called How Heavy Are the Dumbbells That You Lift? And yeah, that started earlier this week. I watched the first episode, and I thought it was really fun. For anyone who needs a recap or whatever, basically, How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? It's this series focusing on a girl called Sakura Hibiki, and basically she's like your average high school girl, she seems pretty normal. The thing that stands out about her though is that she loves to eat. Like every time she's on camera, she's eating something else, And, I guess she eats so much that a friend of hers kind of tells her like, hey, you're kind of gaining weight, and the uniform you're wearing, like the school uniform, it looks like you're kind of squeezing out of it. And she goes like, oh my God, you're right. I thought it was just me, but you're right. I probably am getting a little fat. Like I should work out. And so when the episode starts, she tried to work out at home, but she admits that she can't motivate herself because, she went running and quit after 2 days. She tried to do push-ups and stuff. She quit after 1 day. And so she's like, okay, I really want to stay fit or whatever. So I am going to go to a gym. And that's where the humor starts, that she goes to a gym. She expects it to be a sports club. She expects it to be people with towels hanging around their necks, drinking smoothies and hanging out and talking. She expects it to be really chill. But when she gets there, there's another classmate of hers. It's the student body president. She's there. And she's like, yeah, I'm glad that you're here so we can be workout buddies, blah, blah, blah. As soon as they enter the gym, though, she sees that it is not at all what she expected. Instead of it being a chill sports club, there's all these dudes just pumping iron like crazy. I mean, you have all these gym bros. They look like steroid monkeys. They're just super, they're super jacked. And they're pumping pumping weights like crazy and working out and sweating or whatever. And she's kind of freaked out because she's like, this is not what I expected. But then when she looks over at her classmate, the student body president, apparently that girl has like a muscle fetish. And so when she sees all these dudes working out, like she just starts like salivating and getting excited because she loves looking at muscles and she loves working out, which is like really funny. So, I mean, that was really funny, and seeing like the main character react to that was like really funny. So the student body president, she's down to sign up for the membership. Our main character, she's not very sure. However, when she sees that the personal trainer that they're gonna get, it's like this cute boy or whatever, she goes like, okay, all right, I guess I'll sign up. You know, there's a cute guy here. I have the student body president with me. I do want to stay fit. So she kind of agrees. And yeah, basically from there, I mean, it's interesting because there's a lot of humor, like I said, but there's also like a lot of like it's actually very informative and kind of educational. Like from what I've seen in the comments, I'm not too sure. I will have to ask like a friend of mine that I know who's like really into gym stuff. But yeah, they actually start talking about like the different workouts like in detail. And from what I've seen people say, like it's actually very accurate. You know? So it's really interesting how the anime, you know, it has people working out. It's telling you about actual workouts, actual strategies. So that's really cool. But then it also has like a little bit of like fan service, of course, because, you know, there's buff dudes working out. There's cute girls working out. And so, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the first episode. I thought it was really cool. Like I said, it has humor. It has like actual, from what I've seen, like strategies, and it talks about actual workouts and stuff. That's really cool. It's also really realistic in the sense that like the main character, she's like, yeah, I want to stay fit, blah, blah, blah. She starts working out. She's having trouble because of course she's a newbie to it. She wants to give up, but people are telling her like, hey, no one's born a professional at this. Just keep going. So like, I thought that was cool because that's like really realistic. And then it's also real realistic because, you know, she doesn't stop eating. Like as soon as she gets out of her workout, she goes back to eating. And so like that was really interesting because like that's really realistic. You know, a lot of people, they start working out, but they don't let go of the food. So like that was an interesting aspect. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. From what I saw of the first episode, I thought it seems like a really fun series. And yeah, if anyone's interested, like I said, it's called How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? And yeah, I recommend it. I think it's fun, so I'd say check it out. Moving on, I mentioned near the beginning of the podcast that I went to the movies with some friends. And yeah, in case you've been wondering this whole time what it is I watched, or if you don't have access to the thumbnail, because I guess that kind of spoils it, we went and we watched Spider-Man Far From Home. And I do want to do a review on this, hopefully for this Wednesday, you know, if I'm able to, fingers crossed. So I'm not going to talk about it too much, but overall, I would say I like the movie. You know, like I wouldn't say it was like the best Spider-Man movie, and there is some stuff that I guess kind of like, you know, it has like its flaws or whatever, but overall, I thought it was a really fun, really good follow-up to, you know, the Spider-Man we've grown to love in the MCU, you know? For anyone who doesn't know, basically this is a sequel to both Spider-Man Homecoming and Endgame. And so when we pick up, you know, Spider-Man, he's dealing with the fact that he missed like 5 years while he was snapped or whatever. So he's dealing with going back to school. He's dealing with the fact that like people around him, some people that he knew, like, I don't know, like they mention a character that I guess they knew like they knew him as like an underclassman, or like he was somebody's brother, I guess, like in middle school or something. And he's in high school with them now. And so like, that's really weird to them, you know? So, you know, he's dealing with all of that. He's dealing with the fact that Tony Stark is dead and that people expect him to be like the next Iron Man. So there's all that stress. And so, I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting. I thought it was kind of cool seeing how he's like grown a little bit and how he's trying to deal with all this pressure of people wanting him to be like the next Iron Man, him just wanting to do regular kid things like enjoy his vacation, talk to the girl that he likes, that sort of thing. So, you know, once again, you know, Spider-Man's always been like really good when he's relatable. I thought, you know, 10 out of 10. That part of the movie was really great. I think that Jake Gyllenhaal, I think he knocked it out of the park. I think he did like a really good job as Mysterio. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but like one thing that I did think kind of took it away from me, I feel like the European vacation part, like, I kind of don't get what the push for that was. Like, I feel like they try to make it seem like a really big deal that, like, oh man, Spider-Man is like, halfway across the world. He's on this vacation and he's dealing with all these things, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I felt like that part of the movie, it felt kind of awkward. How like, oh, they're in this country, then they're in this country, and they're attending this thing here, this thing there, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. I just felt like that part of the story was kind of like muddled for me. And I feel like there was just a lot of like running back and forth and trying to remember where they're at and stuff. So I don't know. I thought that part was kind of weird. Like, I don't understand what the big push was for them to be in Europe. Like, honestly, I think the movie might have been better, if Spider-Man's from New York. Why not just have him go on vacation to like Florida or like California and just have all of the issues take place like in one area? Like, I think that would have made the movie like less muddled and stuff. Maybe it's just me, but overall, I recommend it. I think it's really fun. Like I said, it's not the best Spider-Man movie, but it's still really enjoyable, really fun, really funny. So I recommend it. If you're a fan of Spider-Man, you're a fan of the MCU movies up to now, I think you'll enjoy this. So check it out. Finally, rounding out my week, there's not really much to say, other than I continue to enjoy the game. I'm continuing to, play it on my own time. But yeah, Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. I'm having fun with it. I'm continuing to enjoy it. I do hope to stream more of it at some point. At this point, I don't know. I don't know if I should continue with the file I had before that's like farther back, or I don't know if I should just stream with my personal profile that's like farther ahead. I'll kind of like stop and have to decide that, I guess. But yeah, like I said, played more of that, continuing to enjoy it, having fun with it, hope to stream more at one point. So, there you go. I recommend the game. Not much to say about it though, except try it out for yourself. I think it's definitely worth the purchase. Alrighty, so with that being said, that brings us to the end of my week. I think I had a pretty full week. I went to the movies, which I had not done in a while, so that was nice. Continued to play more of Bloodstained, which I am enjoying very much. And of course, as usual, lots of anime. I'm excited. As I have mentioned, earlier in the podcast, and I think even a little bit last week, we are on the cusp of anime season, summer 2019. From what I've seen, there seems to be like a pretty good lineup. So hopefully next week I'm back with more anime to suggest to you guys. Hopefully there's some good stuff, to look forward to, that sort of thing. But with that being said, there you have it. That's my week. Hopefully next week I'm back with more things to talk about. And with that being said, let's transfer over to the news week. And my first news story is one that I'm pretty excited for. I love this studio, and I think the game looks really fun. So as the title of the article states, River City Girls launches September 5th for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this series, but this series is called River City. I know it also has like a Japanese title, which I'm not remembering. Oh, there it is. The Japanese title is Kunio-kun, because the protagonist is a guy named Kunio. So, fun fact. But as I was saying, I think they're fun beat 'em ups. I think the artwork is usually pretty good. They're fun to play, that sort of thing. And so I enjoy that series. Likewise, I also really love Way Forward. Way Forward, for those of you who don't know, it's the video game studio behind Shantae, which I love. They've done some really good ports / like remasters, like they did DuckTales Remastered for the Wii U. That was awesome. But basically, whether it's their original stuff like Shantae or it's like their ports / remasters like DuckTales, I just really like the studio. I think they do some good work. And so basically, tying back to the story, they're working on a new title in the River City series, and it's called River City Girls. And basically, I can read the little about section. It says, offering a new generation of old school action, independent video game studio Way Forward is ecstatic to lift the curtain on its upcoming co-op beat 'em up, River City Girls. Developed by Way Forward and overseen by the fighting game experts at Arc System Works, this latest entry in the long-running River City franchise is scheduled to hit Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC this September. River City Girl stars Kyoko and Misako, two street tough high schoolers who must fight their way through the 6 regions of River City to rescue their kidnapped boyfriends, series mainstays Kunio and Riki. Along the way, they'll utilize an arsenal of combos, counters, throws, and special attacks, battle an assortment of enemies, accept numerous side quests, level up with experience points, interact with NPCs, and shop for a variety of items, food, and gear to boost stats and unlock new abilities. The girls can even wield weapons and recruit defeated foes to join them in combat. So yeah, I mean, like, if you look at the trailer, it looks really fun. Basically, it shows that, yeah, our main heroes from the usual games, it looks like they get kidnapped by the police, which is interesting because you think it would be like a rival gang or something, but no, it looks like they get kidnapped by the police. It shows them shoved into a van, and yeah, then it shows that these girls, you know, there's like a song going about how they need to get their boyfriends back, and it looks really fun. You see them suiting up. One of the girls has like brass knuckles with like little spikes on them. The other one has a bat, and I don't know. I think it looks really fun. I think the artwork looks awesome. Like the description of everything you can do, like the leveling up and wielding weapons and stuff. Sounds cool. The characters, I like their designs. My favorite right now, I like the girl with the black hair and the spiked knuckles. I think she looks awesome. And yeah, I just think it looks like a fun game. I'm glad that it's coming soon. I love Way Forward. Like I said, I love everything that they've done. I think their games are fun. So hopefully this is a fun game. Hopefully it goes good. And yeah, I mean, if you like Way Forward, if you like beat 'em ups, if you like the River City series, that sort of thing, look forward to this. Like I said, it comes out really soon. And yeah, with that being said, you know, I would say check out the trailer, see if you're interested. And if you're excited for it, then just keep an eye out for it because it's coming really soon. So yeah. Moving on, this next news story is perfect because the 4th of July just passed, and that I can think of, this is the most patriotic American game I can think of, all right? And as the title of the article states, Metal Wolf Chaos XD, which is like the remastered version, launches August 6th. Now, I don't know how many of you know about this game. I'm guessing not too many of you, since this is like the first time it's really getting localized outside of Japan, I believe. But Metal Wolf Chaos, it's beautiful. It, like I said, it is like the most American, patriotic, over-the-top game ever. Like, it's just, like, it's made by the people who make Dark Souls. You know, the people who make Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all that sort of thing from Software? This is a title that they made, like, before all that. And I feel like they want to be quiet about it. I feel like they consider it like the red-headed stepchild. But it's like, no, you guys need to talk about it more because it's just incredible with how crazy it is, all right? Like, I think they have a little synopsis. I'm gonna try to read it, all right? The country is in peril as President Michael Wilson defends the nation against a full-scale rebellion led by Vice President Richard Hawke and the mechanized legions he commands. As the 47th President of the United States, it is your sworn duty to take your country back by any means necessary and end this unjust coup d'etat. I think that's how you say the word. Battle in your advanced mech, armed to the teeth, across iconic American landscapes, including the Brooklyn Bridge, the Grand Canyon, and the front steps of the White House. So yeah, I mean, this game is so hard to explain to anyone who hasn't seen it, but it is just the most over-the-top, hilarious game, all right? You play as the President of the United States, you pilot a giant mech, and your arch enemy is the former Vice President of the United States, Richard Hawke, that, like, you need to look up cutscenes for this. I don't know how this guy ever became Vice President. Like, every time he talks, he has an evil cackle. Like, I swear. And, oh my god, like, it's weird to explain. You guys need to look it up, but I am excited to see this game, like, coming out, you know, like a remastered edition or whatever, because it's a game that I think a lot of people should play or at least know about, because it is unlike anything you've ever seen before. I would say keep an eye out for it. I would say check it out. Link is in the description below so you guys can read more about it. Yeah, I would say check it out, you know? Finally, the last news story that I want to talk about, and this one's from late last week, but I just did not want it to, like, I didn't want to miss it, I guess is what I want to say. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have heard of Google Stadia, Google Stadia continues to be more and more of like a thing that I'm wondering, who is this for? All right. As the title of the article states, Google doesn't expect games on Stadia to be cheaper than consoles. And they have like a choice quote at the top of the article, and it says, "I don't know why it would be cheaper." So basically, for anyone who doesn't know, Google Stadia is supposed to be like this cloud gaming service that Google's trying to push. And basically their promise is that if you pay like $10 a month or something like that, you'll have the ability to stream games to any Google device. So, you'll be able to play it on your Google TV. If you have like a laptop, you can play games from your Google Chrome tab. You can play it from your Google Pixel phone, whatever. And, it's going to come with like a controller. It's going to all be like cloud-based. And so right off the bat, the service sounds kind of iffy because of lag, because of, internet power, that sort of thing. However, there still seemed to be a market for people out there because okay, if it's like a Netflix of gaming sort of thing where you pay $10 a month and you can stream some, single player games, even with a little bit of input lag or whatever, like it seemed like, there's some people who can maybe benefit from this if their internet's good enough, right? Like whatever. However, as this article states, they were asking like the people running it, like, okay, like, how's this going to work? And they were saying that basically the way this works, and this is where it gets really ridiculous, it's not a Netflix service, and it's not even, if you have the $10 subscription, you get games cheaper. Basically the way it works is that you're paying $10 for this service, you're paying whatever you're paying for your internet, and then you're still paying full price for these games that you're streaming, but you don't own. All right? So that would be like the equivalent of if you had to pay for your internet, you had to pay for Netflix, and then every movie on Netflix, you have to pay full price for it to watch it. And you don't own it though. It's just like you get to watch it. And so, yeah, and it gets really ridiculous because they asked the guy, his name is Phil Harrison. They ask him, will the games be cheaper at least since, people don't own them and they still have to pay for their own internet and have to pay for a service or whatever. And he says, I don't know why it would be cheaper. The value you get from the game on Stadia means you can play it on any screen in your life. I think that is going to be the value to players. In theory, the Stadia version of a game is going to be at the highest possible quality of innovation and sophistication on the game engine side. So yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but yeah, this just sounds crappier and crappier the more they reveal about it, I don't know. I just thought it was a really interesting article. I think that this whole thing just sounds really stupid. I don't think Google Stadia is going to succeed very much because I don't know who this is for, but we'll have to wait and see, right? But there you go. I just thought it was an interesting story. I think it's a crazy story. And I don't know. Here's to hoping that a lot of people do not get tricked by this service because it sounds really bad. Moving on to movie news, my first article, it's not exactly about a movie itself, but it does have to do with a movie studio, that sort of thing. So as the title of the article states, I thought this was just a really weird one. Hunger Games and Twilight attractions are part of Lionsgate's China theme park. So yeah. If you read the article, apparently Lionsgate, which is a movie, I don't know, are they a movie production company? I'm not too sure, but I know I've heard of them. I heard they make different movies, that sort of thing. Apparently they want to make a theme park in China. And, it's so weird because, okay, you look at Disneyland, it's based on Disney and Marvel properties and Star Wars and stuff. It makes sense because these are beloved franchises. You can really do stuff with the theme park, right? Likewise, Universal Studios, they have all sorts of big franchises that they make sense, right? There's actual theme park potential there, This one is a weird one though, because yeah, when you read the big series that they're trying to push, it's Hunger Games, the Twilight Saga, Divergent, Now You See Me, Gods of Egypt, an escape plan. And it's so weird because except for maybe Gods of Egypt, the rest of these don't sound like very good, like theme park rides, right? Like, what can you really do with the Hunger Games, you know? Like, well, I'm sure you can make like an okay, 3D ride or like a VR thing. Like, it just sounds like such a bad idea, But yeah, as usual, link is in the description below. You can read the article for yourself. But I mean, there you have it. Apparently, they want to release a theme park for these different movies. And like I said, I don't know how it's gonna work. I think it sounds really awkward since most of these aren't like what comes to mind when I hear theme park attraction, but I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll make it work, or who knows, maybe the Chinese audience won't care. Maybe they'll enjoy it regardless, but there you go. I mean, check out the story, read about it for yourself, and I guess I wish them the best, What else can I say? So there you go. Moving on to my second piece of movie news. It's not much of a story, It's more of an interesting, just like little like article I came up across. But yeah, it's really funny because as the title of the article states, Dave Bautista throws shade at the Fast and Furious franchise. Basically, a fan on Twitter, due to how the Fast and the Furious 9, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he's like a main part of that series. And apparently they announced that John Cena has signed on to it. And so a fan on Twitter, he suggested, hey, like The Rock is a part of it, John Cena's a part of it. What if they make a spin-off where The Rock and John Cena fight Bautista as the villain? And Bautista commented, "Thank you for your consideration. Hashtag, I rather do good films." And I don't know, like I said, it's not much of a story, except for the fact that, some Fast and the Furious fans were a little butthurt about it. But I just thought it was funny because like the fact that he's throwing shade on the series, of course, you can argue whether films that Dave Bautista, like, are they good films? The movies he's been in, I mean, that remains to that's up to you. But I just thought it was really funny that while there's all these actors signing on to the Fast and the Furious because like it's an easy paycheck and they're very profitable, Dave Bautista's like, nah, I don't want to I don't need the easy paycheck that much, I rather make good films, which I don't know. I mean, I guess it's films that he thinks are like worthy of his time. And so I don't know. I just thought it was a funny story. I just wanted to share that. And I don't know if he's apologized since then. I don't know if, people are still mad at him or whatever, but I don't know. There you go. I mean, good on you, Bautista, being a savage, but let's move on. This next one is a really interesting one because, yeah, I mean, like, we don't really know what anything means yet. All right. As the title of the article states, Breaking Bad stars reunite as they continue to tease mystery project. Now, I don't know how many of you remember or were present, but a few podcasts ago, I mentioned that there's apparently a Breaking Bad movie, like, it's going to be made soon, and it's going to star Aaron Paul as, like, Jesse. And it's interesting because, it's going to focus on Jesse. It's supposed to take place after the Breaking Bad series. And it's been rumored that Bryan Cranston is supposed to like play a part, And so fans have been speculating, okay, will it be through flashbacks? Will it be like a figment of like Jesse's imagination? Like, what's this movie going to be about? People are really interested. Fast forward to, I want to say like a week or two ago, and it was really weird because Aaron Paul, he posted a tweet with a picture of like two donkeys standing together, and it just said soon. And then like the next day or like the same day or whatever, Bryan Cranston posted the exact same picture of the donkeys, and it also said soon. And so people are like, that's weird. Like, what does that mean? Why are they both, posting this picture with donkeys that says soon? Like, are they working together on something? What's happening? Then earlier this week, I want to say, July 2nd, Aaron Paul posted a picture of him and Bryan Cranston, and it looks like they're walking through like a little river or something, or like a little river, little stream. They have their shoes off, and it says even sooner. And I think Bryan Cranston, I don't remember if he also posted the same picture, but yeah, so people are really curious because like they're like, okay, are they working like on a brand new project? Are they hinting at a Breaking Bad project? Is this the movie? And they're saying that, yeah, Bryan Cranston is gonna have a part. Like, what's happening? And from what I've seen, I don't think we've had any new updates since then. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely really interesting. Personally, I think the donkeys aren't donkeys. I think they're supposed to stand for mules. And what I'm thinking it's gonna be, my personal theory of like what a Breaking Bad movie might be, I think it might be that Jesse's on the run. He's trying to escape and leave behind his life of making meth and being like a prisoner or whatever. I think what's going to happen is that he might run away to Mexico, and I think that he might run across a drug mule like cartel or operation, whatever you want to call it. So I think that's where like the donkeys come in, because mules, like drug mules. And I think it's going to be about him trying to like help stop this operation. And I think Bryan Cranston is going to play a part. I think that he's going to see him as like this like imaginary like friend sort of thing, whereas he's dealing with stuff, like he'll kind of think like like what would like Walter White do sort of thing. And yeah, I think they are working on a new movie. That's just my theory though. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if I'm right, if I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, if you love Breaking Bad, if you love these two actors, hopefully they release something soon. Hopefully we get some sort of an update. But that's what I think it's gonna be. Like I said, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm most likely wrong. But if I'm right, I mean, you heard it here first. I want some credit for that. But yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out for it. And if you're a fan, then I would say keep an eye out for it too, It'll definitely be interesting to see what it is they're teasing at. So there you go. Finally, this last news story is one that I'm really excited for because it's funny. Like, not only in an earlier news story, not only did I mention I love Shantae, not only did I mention that I love Way Forward, but I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I really love Studio Trigger. They're the people behind Space Patrol Luluco. They're the people behind Kill la Kill. They're the people behind that movie that just got made not too long ago that I want to watch, Promare. Like, I don't know. I think that Studio Trigger does some really interesting stuff. I think the way they like escalate their series to like always be really hype, I really love their stuff. I always think it's really exciting. And so this news story, I'm super hype about it because Studio Trigger is animating Shantae 5's game opening sequence. And it's actually funny because when I was putting the docket together, this news story came out on the 2nd, and it was just announced that they were going to make the opening sequence, and all we were given was like some like, I guess you would call it concept art or whatever. Since then though, the opening's actually been released. Like, if you look it up on YouTube, or if you follow Way Forward over on Twitter, yeah, it's a little 30-second opening, and it's made, and it looks really cool. I love it. I am super hyped to see that Shantae 5 is being made. I'm super hyped to see that Studio Trigger made their intro. That's awesome. I love Christina V as a voice actress, and not only is she back to voice Shantae and Risky Boots, but she sings a new like theme song for the new entry. So like, that's really exciting. And yeah, I mean, I just really can't wait to play the 5th game. I suggest that you guys should go look up the intro. I think it looks really cool. It looks really fun. And yeah, with that being said, go check it out. Stay hyped for Shantae, and I don't know, go follow Christina V on Twitter. She's a cool voice actress, so there you go. Alrighty, with that being said, that brings us to the end of another news week. As usual, hopefully there was something in there that you guys found entertaining, informative, that sort of thing. I know that personally, I think there was a lot of news stories regarding stuff that I'm excited for, but hopefully I'm not the only one. Hopefully I didn't just pick news stories that are basically for myself, and anyone listening is just kind of sitting there confused, wondering why they should care, you know? But yeah, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know if anything that I talked about interested you, you know, that sort of thing. And with that being said, it's time to move on to the last segment of the podcast, which is the content creator spotlight. And this week's content creator, currently sitting at 262 subscribers, they've been begging me to cover their channel for a while. And, you know, it's not that I didn't want to, it's just that I had some people like already in line, I guess you could say. But I'm finally here to cover, and hopefully I'm saying the name right. I probably should have asked. Shamex2. So it's spelled SHAAMEX2. I'm pronouncing it Shamex. I don't know. But yeah, regardless, Shamex2 is an interesting little channel that I guess the best place to start is basically one of, if not the sole reason that I got into the Villanos / Villainous little web series. Because during some old video, you know, I just had people telling me like, hey, you should cover this series called Villanos. And I was like, all right, you know, I'm always open to people telling me about new series and stuff I could cover, you know, sure. And yeah, sure enough, I looked it up, and, you know, Shamex, you know, if you look at their channel, they're a huge Villainous fan. Like, they're always there to, like, let me know that there's new Villainous content. And I think it's really cool to have that one person that is, like, my one-stop shop for, you know, news regarding that series. So I think that's really cool. And besides that, their channel, I think it's a really interesting little channel because part of what they do is that they have all these videos talking about Villanos, you know? Like reading through some of them, Villanos pilot June 1st. That's when they were talking about like, hey, I finally found out that the Villanos pilot comes out June 1st, and they're telling everybody to watch it. They have videos of like I guess you can say like little theories. They have like videos or like little moments from the show. They have like a little interesting one. It's the rank list of the Black Hat organization. That's really fun. They have like a video of, where is it? I just saw it. Black Hat versus Mao Mao, because, you know, they're not just a Villainous fan. They're also a fan of other shows like Nefarious and Invader Zim, that sort of thing. What else? Oh yeah, Shamex2. They also have like their own little series they're working on. It's called Luna, and it's like this little like ghost sheep, if I'm remembering correctly. Like that's their OC. So if you look on their channel, they have like a lot of different like little concept art and little moments from the own series they're trying to make. So yeah, basically, I guess to like summarize, to like put it more in perspective, Shamex2 is your one-stop shop for everything Villainous. They have announcements when stuff comes out. They have playlists with like all the episodes. They've thrown my reviews into the playlist, which I'm really thankful for. They have like rankings. They have concept art. They have hypotheticals of like Black Hat versus other cartoon characters. They're working on their own OC and their own show, that sort of thing. So basically, this week I am giving Shamex2 the shout out because I'm really thankful for introducing me to Villainous. I think it's really cool that they have all this Villainous like fan content. And I just think that it's cool that they're a person that are very into like animation and that they're working on their own series, you know? So Shamex2, if you're listening to this, thank you for introducing me to Villainous. Keep up the good work with all like your fan stuff. I think that's awesome. And good luck with your own series, you know? Like the fact that you're passionate about like animation and putting together a show, and you're like always having all this little concept art and like moments and stuff. I think that's awesome. Keep up the good work. And for anyone listening, you know, as usual, I would say show Shamex2 some love. Check out their playlist where they talk about Villainous. Check out their concept art, that sort of thing. And as usual, you know, if you check out the channel, tell them the Wannabe reviewer sent you. So there you go. Alrighty, that of course brings us to the end of another podcast. That is one more in the bag. As usual, hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully there was something you got out of it, whether it was me talking about my week and the different anime that I watched, or one of the many news stories, or, my introduction to the villainous #1 fan, during my content creator spotlight, that sort of thing. Hopefully there was something you guys got out of the podcast, and hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to it. Moving on to the wrap up section. My name has been Wannabe Reviewer. I'm the host of the Wannabe podcast. You can catch me over on all sorts of social media, such as Twitter, Instagram, and even twitch.tv. Hopefully during the week, I'm going to see about trying to stream once again, but that remains to be seen. If you follow me over on social media or you follow me on Twitch, you'll get the notification of when I'm going on. And yeah, the Wannabe podcast available on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play Music, iTunes, all that good stuff. And finally, I have a YouTube channel, Wannabe Reviewer. I try to do reviews of all sorts of media at least once a week. And yeah, hopefully this week or the next, I'm actually hoping to finally release the first episode of my Forget-Me-Not series. I teased this a while back. The Forget-Me-Not series is a series where I hope to sit down and each episode will be about a different, obscure / little known of Wii title. And yeah, hopefully, like I said, hopefully that's up within this week or the next. And hopefully it goes good. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. And yeah, what else is there to say? I hope you guys have a good week. I'll try my best to be back here for episode 38 next week. And yeah, until then, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. My name has been Wannabe Reviewer, and I will see you guys next time.